Holy smokers, folks, this ain't no dang jokers. Every once in a while I find a really good video from a smaller YouTuber who puts out something really good, and I think this video is a really good one. I just got a chance to see here. It only has 11,000 views from a smaller YouTuber named Lucky Lopez, and he put out this video yesterday on the used car market bubble is popping. And the video evidence he's going to show you in this video is quite compelling. And this man knows a lot about the automotive industry, and so I thought I would react to this, bringing this to your guys' attention. I love bringing people's names to attention when they have something valuable to add to the community, and I think this man has something very, very valuable to add in a moment in time where we're looking at a likely recession, and people are trying to figure out like what's going on here, what's the truth, these government numbers, how truthful are they, some of these numbers lag and things like that, like what's going on in the real world. Well, let's find out.
So the main reason why I made a video about this 4 months ago is when I was sitting down with one of my bankers, I got very scary numbers from him. He kept telling me that they had multiple loans, defaulting, first, second, third payment defaults, which is really bad. But majority of these loans were produced from 2020 and 2021 during the actual pandemic. So a lot of these people were, I call them stimulus ballers, people that had, $4,000 a month income that could traditionally not finance or get approved for these types of vehicles were getting approved. They got back stimulus. They weren't paying their rent. They weren't paying their bills. And so therefore they were able to buy these cars more and more and more. Now, the reason why I want to make this follow-up video is because a lot has changed. The repo rates have skyrocketed. Now, during the pandemic, there was a lot of rules and regulations that allowed banks to not basically foreclose on people when it comes to homes. They also had the same thing when it came to repoing cars. Now, we're going to go after just repos of cars when it comes to actual banks. We're not going to talk about payday loans and all that other stuff, but one of the things that a lot of these banks were forced to not go repo people's cars. I'm going to show you a Kelley Blue Book article right here. All the articles will be linked in the description below, but it talks about how the government was telling a lot of these banks not to go and actually repo people's cars. Give them time, let them work it out. So a lot of these people, even though they bought these cars in 2020 and 2021, they weren't making any of their payments. They were claiming, COVID, I lost all my money, the Rona, took me out, blah, blah, blah. And so a lot of these people were getting away with it. They were letting them keep their cars even though they're behind. And so fast forward today to 2022 and nobody's safe. All the regulations are out. They're repoing like crazy. And that's some of the stuff that's starting to trickle over into the market. Now, when I did this video, I gave a breakdown, all this other stuff. I'll leave a link in the description somewhere here for the other video. But the one thing I want to show you guys is what's going on currently. They're talking about repo rates skyrocketing to almost double what they were in 2018 and 2019, because that's technically the last time we had correct data for this. Now, they're saying there was an estimated 1.8 million repos that were repoed in this business year. Now, during the pandemic, like I said, we couldn't take real numbers because it was kind of spread all over the place. There's a lot of repos. There's still over 2 million repos during the pandemic in those years, but we don't count them because we don't know if those were the real numbers or not. Fast forward to 2022, and we are sitting, as of right now, 2.2 million repos. Now let that settle in. In 2018 and 2019, through that whole year, it took us that long to get a little over 1.8 million repos. We're sitting at 2.2 million, and we're only halfway through the year. That just lets you know how far.
Wow, that's an extraordinary number. By the way, if you're enjoying me sharing this video with you guys, don't forget to smash. But that's an extraordinary number, and just wait till you see the video evidence here. We're going to get into in just a moment, but that's an extraordinary number because you think about this on a deeper level, and it's like, we haven't even seen like unemployment go up in any major way. We haven't even seen real estate get hit in a major way yet. And you got to think like, look at all these repos of all these vehicles. But I'm sure a lot of people got loans that probably shouldn't have gotten loans on a lot of these vehicles. And, they were in a situation where they were pumped with stimulus and all this money and things like that. And plus, you didn't have to pay your rent, your mortgage, and all these different things that were going on at that time, right? And obviously, we know there was a lot of people that were lying on PPP loans and all that crap that was going on, right? And now these folks are starting to get their vehicles evicted, or I should say repoed left and right? And this is
how crazy this is. So when I came out there and tell a lot of people, especially these finance people, that this is an indicator, the automotive indicator that there's a recession coming, there's bad things coming, we're about 6 months to a year ahead of the real estate market. A lot of people judge, if the real estate market pops, that's when you can tell things are bad. The car business, once you see auto loan defaults, it's the first thing that goes, and that's about 6 months to a year ahead of the real estate market, because people will let go of their cars, they'll let go of their other things before they let go of their house. So that's why, to me, the main indicator when it comes to recession is the actual automotive market. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to take you by my friend's yard, and we're going to go over what I'm seeing and just to kind of give you guys a heads up of what's going on in the market. So we're here at our first location. It looks like a prison, but it's actually a prison for cars. This is a repo yard here in Vegas. There are multiple of these things scattered all over town. Now, as repos start to come in, it's these company's job to go pick them up. They put them them behind the gate. Customers have 10 days to pick them up. If they don't pay, make deals with the banks, whatever, then they get sent to auction or get purchased by people like myself. And then from there, they basically either get sold, auctioned off, whatever else. Now, the reason why I'm bringing you here and I want to show you this is, unfortunately, my friend, he didn't want anybody knowing where his place is at, which I can't blame him. People try to show up, and that's why there's barbed wire. They try to break in and steal their cars. But his lot, it's a little over 2.5 acres, is completely full. 100% full. Now, this is the first thing I want to show you guys and let you guys know on why repos are starting to pick up. You know, because like I said, I can read you stats, I can read you articles, but, you know, starting to show you some of the stuff like this. And not only is he so booked up where he has this, they're actually planning on purchasing some property, which I'm going to show you right now. So we're here at a new location. The reason why I'm showing you this one's about an 8 to 10.
Hey, okay. See, in life, there's always good things and bad things that come out of things, right? And so the bad news is cars are being repossessed left and right, and it's probably going to get much worse over the next 6 to 12 months. However, if you want to think about something that's good news, this guy, you know, his friend here is going to buy more land. And, you know, I'm sure he's going to have some construction. So, you know, we got to put the cars somewhere. So, hey, and life is always good and bad that comes with everything, right?
Your parcel. Now, if you can see, actually, let me flip the camera on so I can show you how massive this lot is. So it starts all the way down there and goes all the way through. And I've got the car just so you can see the distance. And this is about maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 football fields. Now, the reason why I'm showing you how massive this lot space is because this was just purchased by one of my friends to extend their repo yard. They said that every time there's something really bad happens, they extend their yards. So instead of renting it, they're actually purchasing this because they believe that the recession is going to be a lot longer than what people anticipate. And the information they get from the banks is very scary. So just to show you on how big and massive this lot is, because like I said, not only when you do repos, you have to keep them there. If they file bankruptcy, sometimes these cars sit for 6 months. So you need to have something like 8 to 10 acres to store all these cars. Now, this is just one company. A lot of the other repo companies here in Vegas are also expanding. So we're here at one of the biggest auctions.
It's like one of the businesses you don't really want to have to see expanding is car repossession business. It's usually when you're like, let's not have them expand. Like, if anything, can they shrink their lots? And no, it looks like they're all getting ready for massive expansion because they know what's coming.
Vegas. If you look behind me, you can see it. I was going to show you from the inside as well as the outside. But if I show you from the outside, I physically have to take a car and drive. So we could probably talk for about 10 minutes before I reach the end. And this is what people don't realize, how big these auctions are and how many cars are sitting here. Because this mystique of, oh, there's not that many cars at the auction. There's, you know, the repos are not as bad as what you say they are or what they say on the news. But you got to remember, we were talking about this stuff like 4 months ago, you know, when everybody was still overpaying for cars insanely high. And now that the repos have shot up, I'm going to show you why. So we're going to go over here. We're going to pull over to the side. We're going to get out. We're going to film a little bit. So right behind me is what's called the staging area. If you look right here, you'll see a line of cars, damn near a mile long, 6, 7 semi-trucks full of vehicles. This is where the repos, trade-ins, everything else come to get staged. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this particular area is all the cars that you see in the auction are not all repos, so I don't want to premise that. But a massive majority of the ones I'm going to show you over this way are all repos. So trade-ins, everything else gets staged over here. A lot of the repos, depending on how many they have, they trickle out. They're not stupid. They're smart. So if the bottom falls out on crypto, everybody has a fire sale, and that's why the price drops. But Wells Fargo, Bank of America, a lot of these other banks are really savvy. So they'll get, let's say there's 5,000 repos right behind me. They won't let them all run at the auction that week. They're going to take maybe 100 this week, 100 next week, and just keep doing it. Even though there's more and more, I think when I first saw this, there was probably like maybe 100, maybe 200 cars. Now there's probably in the thousands sitting behind me that are being staged waiting for that. Now, you got to remember, they go to the repo yards first, where they fill up, where if they file bankruptcy, the car can sit there for a few months, and before it even makes its way over here. Once it gets here, now it's ready to be sold, or it's on a permanent hold for whatever type, maybe legal action, lawsuits, bad VIN numbers, whatever the case is. Then it gets staged here. So all the cars you see right here are pretty much ready for sale. And that's the scary factor. So we're going to go ahead and go inside. I'm going to walk around and show you a little bit of not only the bank repos, but what's going on in the dealer auctions to let you guys know that the market is slowly falling and the prices are going to be going down. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe what dealers are telling you, like, oh, there's a shortage of cars. There's not. And I'm about to show you why. So I want to let you guys know that
This was definitely recorded yesterday, because you know how I know this was recorded yesterday? Because it's almost never cloudy and rainy in Vegas, and yesterday it actually was. So this was definitely recorded yesterday, man.
This on a Wednesday. And the reason why it's very important is because everything you see behind me, we'll go back this way. There's rows and rows and rows of cars, if you can see, up to this yellow fence that's way back there. The reason why I'm showing you this is what's called a non-sale. These are all cars that ran last week, because most dealers, we have till Tuesday to pick them up, and then they get moved over past the yellow fence. So these are all the cars that are non-sale. And not only are they non-sale, they're priced too high. And so what's happening right now is they're going to open these gates here in about an hour, and they're going to start bringing all the new cars from this week. So all the new cars that, went through repos, bankruptcies, trade-ins, everything else are going to start working their way in, and they're going to fill up all whatever spots of lane in these lanes. This is why I want to show you guys this, because I tell you guys numbers and statistics, and you guys are like, seeing is believing. When you have this many cars, and we're talking thousands for non-sales, basically dealers are asking way too much. So if the car's worth $20K, most dealers want $25K at the auction. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. They can't keep doing this. This was okay when the lots were empty, but now that they're starting to fill up, I don't think you guys realize how big this is and how far this goes back. Like I said, I'm only showing you a quarter of it. These are just the cars that are running for auction this week. So not only are these the non-sales from Thursday, also from Friday here in Vegas. So like I said, it's very scary to see that this many cars are piling up and they're still bringing more cars. Now, like I said, this is just the sale area. We're going to work our way towards the area basically where it's staging, where there's thousands of cars that are waiting. So when people keep telling me, oh, Lucky, I can't get a deal on a car, there's nothing there, go to your auction, take the time, walk from one end all the way to the other. I can't even show you it. This thing is like 17 Walmart parking lots big, full of cars. And I'm sure your auctions in your state and your city are just as big. And a lot of them have offsite stores they don't tell you guys about. That's where they're holding cars like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Ally, where a lot of the big repos are sitting at, because they don't want to basically show up and drop 5,000 cars and fill all these up, because they know that if there's that many cars, it'll drive the price down. So like I said, there's little, we're going to spoon feed one by another. So,
what's crazy is a lot of these cars are nice cars, like Camaros and like new SUVs and new nice trucks and things like that. That's the craziest part. Is like it's not like it's a bunch of piece of junk cars or something like that. One point I want to make here, I think is very important, is when you should never make money for driving a car for a certain amount of time unless it's some rare historical car or something like that. The amount of people I know that have made money, driven their truck or their car or their Corvette or whatever for 6-12 months, put a bunch of mileage on it, and was able to sell it for a profit in the past 12 to 18 months. That's not the way the market's supposed to work. There's your doom and gloom is coming when you're in a market like that. That should never, ever happen. I don't want to hear about any of the excuses. You're in an unnatural market, that you're in a bubble, and that will 100% pop. And we're starting to see the glimpses of it happen right in front of our eyes. And this is just the start.
Now that I've shown you this, like I said, these are all the non-sales for this week, or last week, that are going this week. Plus, we're going to have some more coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you to another site and show you what we're working with. So we finally made it to the yellow fence, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So if you look behind me, there's all these cars that are basically being staged for next week's sale. Like I said, there's thousands of them here. If you look behind me, there's this yellow fence. Everything back that way is all the cars that are being staged for either hold for repos, they're waiting for service. Some of the banks are holding them for, like I said, to trickle out the effect. And I can't show you how deep this is because right now they're actually doing an inspection, but I'll try to see if I can hold it up. So imagine literally 1 mile driving this way full of cars. Now that's just here in Vegas. We actually don't even have that big of an auction. The ones like in Riverside, California, Sacramento, they're like 2 times the size of this one. Texas, Dallas, same thing. There's a lot of auctions that have just like this, where there's thousands upon thousands of cars that are just sitting here waiting to be sent up to the auction. So like I said, don't believe the hype. There's more than enough cars to go around. They're just feeding that need of, it's just like diamonds. There's a million diamonds, but they'll never drop the price. They'll only release so many at a time to keep the values high. Same thing with used cars. That's why
the scariest part of this is the scariest part of this is you see this happening, right? And you see all these repos and stuff happening like that, right? And here we are at a time period where unemployment is still under 4%. And you got to say, okay, what happens when unemployment starts to climb? What happens when a few million jobs are lost? What happens when the economy gets even in a weaker state? Let's say 3 months, 6 months, if that happens, right? And it's like, what's going to happen with repossessions in that situation if it's already getting this bad this fast? And these are things I think you have to consider. And if this is just one of many various reasons why it's so hard to be bullish on the economy. And it's a good time to be picking up assets as somebody in the markets and whatnot, and it's going to be even more attractive over time. But yeah, the used car market could this could be a mess for, in my opinion, years to go in the future. Years.
Everybody, you need to just brace yourselves, be patient, don't buy anything right now. Just wait a little bit, because like I said, you go by dealerships before, it used to be empty. most of the dealerships look like this parking lot, just empty. Now you look at dealerships, they look like this. They're just rows and rows and rows of cars. So now that they're slowly starting to fill up, you need to basically be cautious and be ready for the market to change. If you're a dealer, start liquidating your inventory. Do not hold on overpriced inventory, because with all these cars being non-sales, a lot of these are owned by either banks. Some of these are owned by dealers. And the problem is they probably, let's say they bought this car, they use their lines of credit or their flooring to book this car for like $8,000 when it's all really worth like $4,000. Now they have to liquidate it because the flooring company's probably like, hey, you need to get rid of this car, get it off your line of credit, move it, because dealers are on a timeline when it comes to flooring cars on their lines of credit. So you need to get them on there and get them off there. So I'd say about maybe 20% of these are overpriced cars that dealers are stuck with and they can't liquidate them. So that's why they're running as non-sales, because they ask so much for a reserve, because they bought them overpriced, they put way too much money into them, and now they're over retail and they can't even get wholesale for them. So this is why the slot, little by little, is going to fill up. I remember during the pandemic, there was 3 rows of cars right here. That was it. Now look at this. Thousands of cars every week. So anyways, I want to show you guys this. We're going to go back to the studio. I'm going to go over some numbers with you guys and explain a little bit more how it works and show you some interesting stats. After watching,
and something, to add insult to injury in this whole situation is, as the Fed continues to increase interest rates, it makes it even more unrealistic to obviously buy cars, because now it's even more expensive. Never mind, if banks start to get more and more freaked out, they're not going to want to loan as much. All these things just funnel the wrong
videos
way.
I don't know how you cannot be scared of what the economy is going to turn to, because this is just a huge indicator of what's to come. When you have multiple repo companies embracing for one of the biggest booms that they're going to have, they're going to be buying more tow trucks, they're going to be getting bigger yards. And like I said, a lot of these loans that we were talking about, I forgot to mention in the beginning, these are not subprime loans. Some of these are prime. Like a lot of these exotic cars that we've been repoing, like the Rolls Royce was like at 1.9% through some credit union. A lot of these loans were under 3% for the exotic cars. And so that's what's going on. It's not just, people with bad credit or defaulting. We're talking about good people that had money. And some of these people are business owners. And a lot of these repos, especially the exotic cars that we picked up, they were also had PPP loans. So some of those people basically took that money and probably put down payments on some of these cars that they shouldn't have got. But that just gives you an indicator of what's going on. Now, as we walk through the actual auction, I'm hoping that puts some sort of information in your head, because when I tell people there's so many cars at the auction and you just got to wait for a good deal, they think I'm joking. Like you saw right there, every week there's hundreds, if not thousands of cars that go unsold. So when you're going there as a dealer and we're waiting, we're holding up our hand like, oh yeah, I'll bid 20 grand on this car and I'll bid $30,000 on this truck. No sale, no sale. We want more money. So what happens is they roll it the next week. Once again, I show up the next week. Hey, I'll bid 20,000 for this one, 30,000 for this one. Once again, no sale. It'll roll back. But every week that does a no sale, more and more cars start feeding into that pool. And that's why when I showed you that lot, I physically wanted to show it to you, because now you guys can see that the supply is not dwindling. There's no huge oh my God, the supply is empty. Literally, if you go back to my videos, you can see during the pandemic, there was literally 2 lanes of cars running every week. That was it. Very small, maybe 100, maybe 200 cars. Now we're running thousands every week, back to where we were before the pandemic. So this BS of, it's supply and demand. No, you can drive down any street, especially here in Vegas. We have this main street called Sahara. You can drive down that street, and every dealership is packed to the gills full of cars. I remember right there on the corner, Sahara Dodge. Dodge is one of the most popular trucks, and if you look at some of the other slides we had, is one of the most highly repo trucks. But they had over 60 brand new trucks in stock, ready to go. Nothing custom ordered, nothing special. They just had 60 trucks parked right out there. They had another right next to that, another 60, 70 Jeep Wranglers. So that just lets me know that, like I said, the market is not what it used to be. If you look at some of the articles, I'll try to post a few up here, that every manufacturer is reporting double-digit loss of sales every month. Honda reported 13% decrease in first quarter sales, and second quarter sales, they're not that far behind. So that should just let you know that if Honda, one of the most, dependable, most loved vehicles, is being basically undersold and they're not buying, that should let you know that this is going all the way across the board. Even Ford, I think was 11.5%, and they have Ford Motor Credit. They have one of the biggest and most relaxed banks to get people financed with bad credit, and even they are slowing down. So like I said, these are just some of the telltale signs of what's going on. Now, I'm not doing this to freak people out. I'm doing this to help educate you guys, because when I did this video, I thought that more people would be interested in seeing behind the glass, how I actually do business, because I know nobody else in the car business does this. Nobody else is going to take the time to walk around, talk to bankers, talk to dealers, talk to auction houses, and all this other stuff. So I want to give you the stuff that I do every day, so this way you can make some sense out of it, whether it sets you up to buying a car or maybe let you know where to invest. I don't care.
Thank you, Lucky Lopez, for that video. We do appreciate it. I love any insights we can get on industries that because I guarantee you 99% of you guys that watch this video right here, you've never seen anything like we just watched right there, right? And I think that this sort of information is very valuable in a time period when obviously there's a lot of fear about the economy. And yeah, so I hope you guys appreciate me sharing a video like this with you guys. I hope Lucky Lopez continues to update us every once in a while on what's going on here over the next 6 to 12 months. I think it's going to be really, really important. Much love as always, guys, and have a great day.